minutes from our regular meeting, March 19th, gentlemen.
Yeah, I read them. I was up here yesterday.
What did you think?
They
Thoroughly enjoyable?
Well, they put me to sleep, but
Well,
I'll make a motion
I
to
think we
approve
could
those.
throw something in there if you want to spice them up a little.
You want what I would put in there?
I think that's a motion.
Yes.
I'll second that.
Mike, I wasn't in attendance, but I will approve the minutes.
You just
I can do that.
Yes.
John?
Yes. All right. Mr. Kitco.
So I have a copy of the report for March. We handled 10 applications, 3 of which were variance and/or conditional use renewals. And the Board of Appeals did hold a meeting and review 2 conditional uses. One was approved and one was tabled because of a death in the family. Party was not a part of the park. There's 2 owners, 1 owner was not able to attend. So we'll get that case again next month. And then we did have another new house, so we're up to 3 for the year. And as you can see there, a couple additions, some remodelings, and a couple of the damaged properties from the storm this fall. If the damage was minor, I just exempted them instead of charging for it. Now one or 2 of them, the damage is very extensive and they have to, they said they took the whole roof off of one of the houses today, so. But some of them we just exempted because, they didn't change the footprint, they're not doing, they don't need anything, so we thought that was reasonable to do since.
They're all going to rebuild them.
Right, exactly the same. And we will have a hearing, we have an application for a variance for accessory building in excess of 23 feet. That is, I believe, it's scheduled for next week. So that's it. All right, but I want to go on the record that someone from this group of people that are adamantly against Akron is spreading false rumors, and they're going around telling people that once this logging is done, that Akron is going to build condominiums and so forth and so on. So go on the record, that's not the case, unless it would have to go through a completely rezoning. That property is all zoned passive open space and can't build it. But somebody's going, I got 2 calls from 2 people asking me, is this true? And I says, no, it's not. So
I think there's several rumors that group is spreading.
right, and then I just received this big long letter here from this person saying that they've called the office numerous times and the zoning department is not doing anything. Well, we're not doing anything because we cannot do anything. Whether we're opposed to it or not, we can't do anything. It's their property. They have the right to cut their trees. Like I stated before, logging is considered agriculture and it's exempt from zoning anyway.
They want to build an apartment building next to a Walmart anyway.
That's all I have.
Okay, any questions for Frank? Mr. Gordon.
Okay, Auburn Township Road Department report for March 2018. March saw 8 weather events that required 13 rounds of plowing and/or salting. The total amount of de-icing materials used was 302 tons. This does represent the higher end for March. That's not unusual, though, that we have a 300-ton month. This did eclipse the monthly average of 167 tons and brought the total for the season to 2,082 tons used. The new yearly average stands at 1,757 tons that we go through. This indicates that after 12 years of tracking our usage for the current road inventory, the committed tonnage of 2,000 plus or minus 20% is accurate. We're going to stick with that. One of the things that Mr. Evans and I did discuss today was the challenge that Cargill would have with delivery this year. And there is a meeting through Q on April 17th, and one of us will attend, I believe, and then we'll be the conduit for the township to Q to see what, if anything in the future can be done to alleviate the problems that we're having. There was never a point in time that the township did not have under 100 to 150 tons in our dome, so we never ran out of salt. Currently, we have 300 tons in the dome. All of our orders are filled, and on the 2017 contract, we're still able to purchase 475 tons. And one of the things, again, that we would like to discuss or look at is what the anticipated cost for salt would be on this next contract coming up, either holding off or purchasing the balance of this material. There was one snow and high wind event on March 1st, just to review that. I did bring down a couple trees which became involved in primary power lines on Stanford. The road was closed until March 3rd when the lines and utility pole were repaired. Berm and ditch repairs were done on Stafford Road and Sanctuary Drive where vehicles did leave the roadway. We did get a call on one of them, and we had the other there, Mr. Kidko, that on Sanctuary as well. It was very soft. Cold patching the potholes was done on various roads in the township. We did use 5 tons of the material that we did purchase. We'll continue to patch with cold mix until the asphalt plant's open. I am slated to do some more patching, some more holes opened up with the rain, so we'll be taking care of that. As far as the plant's opening, I'm in contact. There was a merger between Composing and Roniak, and I'm waiting to hear from them. I didn't get a typical cost schedule that they had at the beginning of the year, so I did contact some of the current people that are involved there, and I'm waiting to hear as far as when the plant does open. Construction debris was dumped on several roads, which was removed, and this was a sheriff call. So who's ever remodeling an ugly yellow kitchen, please cease and desist. Some more of it did show up, which is, I believe, over on Thor. I think there's some more there. But once again, this was a remodel job that someone went through the township and just heaved off the back of their truck. And we do have large item day for that, so it's unfortunate that people do that. Franks Road and Auburn Road street name signs were taken. These were replaced, and it was documented. And it's become typical that during spring break, signs go. And it was during spring break that these signs came down and they were replaced. One of the things we do for insurance purposes is to document the time when we discover that it's missing and when we do the replacement. There were 2 full interments for the month at Shadyside Cemetery. Outstanding footers, grave leveling, and or topping of graves will be done before Memorial Day weekend, as we always have done in the past. And that's what I got for you.
I just wanted to revisit the salt here a little bit. I did a little calculating on our tons per mile that somehow you have to quantify. How much did you put down in comparison to neighbors and whatnot? And by my calculations and Emmerich pretty accurate calculations of how many tons he takes out and puts down, we used about 2.3 times less salt and achieved black roads in our goal of 8 hours or less. I don't think we ever came close to even 8 hours. So, I think that is awful encouraging, and that's due to the management that the guys do with their salt.
That was the one thing this year. They said it was a heavier year. It was a 2,000-ton year for us, but we target 2,000 tons committed.
Be over yet either.
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah, but typically in April it's 14 tons for April per month. I went as high as 45 tons. If I do have a run here, it's typically between 20 and 25 tons per run. So, and with the warmer pavement, man, we'll see how we handle this. But once again, this won't throw us into the higher end, and we have had people that purchased their entire committed amount and put it down already, so.
So 1,700 ton and 51 miles, some multiple of 3, right? What would that be?
3 of,
Well, 51 miles divided by 1,700 ton would be per mile. What's that come to?
Well, it's around 30, so,
30?
yeah.
so what we're doing.
Actually, you have
and-
to
Yeah,
do
that'd
it.
be right.
Yeah, and as we track this over the last 12 years of record keeping, it hasn't changed.
You have to do
So
it by
the application, and this is the current road inventory, that we haven't added roads to this inventory. That's with the 54.01 road inventory. So it's very consistent, so it's telling us that we're doing the right thing here with our application of the materials, so.
So, but I guess that, my thinking right now, and you guys can chime in, is I think we'll see what the salt situation is. We've had a problem this year getting salt. We've ordered it, sometimes having it come for a month. I would rather look at us back to a policy where we stock the bin to the ceiling. That means spending a little extra money, but we don't run into any of these scenarios where on a weekly or twice a week even as much, are we gonna get the salt in that we've ordered a month ago? And that was a problem this year.
Where Emmerich doesn't lose sleep at night.
Well, Emmerich's up wondering,
What's
how
causing their
much salt
delivery
is there
problems?
gonna be, even though we've ordered the salt a month ago.
Depending on which entity you speak with, one of the entities was Gleaning Trucking. There was a bridge down in Cleveland which reduced the amount of material across the bridge. Some of the truckers refused to carry a lighter load, you're not making as much money. The other one, there was more ice events and during December and early January, which is a heavier usage, and they said there was a run on the inventory of 500,000 tons of orders within the first week of January. We've heard other things as well, where materials were moved around or shipped somewhere else. The one thing that we did, we felt right here as well, was the continual calling, when we're gonna get this, when we're gonna get this. We had allocations set up through Q that you're gonna get so much then, so much then. And what had happened at the end, actually, Q sent us an email stating that they're going to acquire from a different source, or an alternative source, the salt, and then have that delivered to us. Well, there's only 2 sources really in this area where salt comes from, and we received that salt from that.
I think there's enough variables involved that stacking the bin would probably be
Would be the best thing to
the
do.
best
like this.
thing to do, yeah.
And what we had done, and we used to stack the bin, and I felt comfortable with delivery in our relationship in the past with Q, as well as the firm that does the trucking, that we were never on the short end of the stick per se as far as getting our salt. But this time we came too close too many times, where I'm down to 100 ton. And we don't want that scenario.
If you could get 1,700 tons in the bin, you could work your way back, and then you could still put another 300-400 tons in there. Well, that takes you up past your 2,000 tons with some to spare.
Yeah.
And our heaviest year is 2,400, right?
Yeah, 24.
It's 2,400 tons. So conceivably, you could order salt one time and have 2,400 tons. And we do like to, every couple of years, every other year, actually empty the bin 100%, just to go back and check the walls. And which we've done that now for quite a few years. But this is just, I just don't know. I don't want to go through this
I
another
concur,
year.
fill it up.
And so we'll try to see, we have till what, August, Emery?
It's September that the contract
September.
renews. The last 2 years, because they were lighter winters, Cargill did allow for storage on their property until December 31st, which we did take advantage of as well, because we did have a full dome there up to the door. So we'll see where this goes here.
Yeah.
We don't have enough, I have enough room in our dome to bring in the balance of the existing contract. So, I mean, that doesn't matter to us this year as far as.
Well, we would be able to know though, when, I think there's a window where we'll know if we're buying off of the old one or the new one.
Right, yeah.
And we'll end up taking a lower tonnage price.
Right, and we'll know the price,
Yeah.
you know, prior to that, and then we'll work with Cargill on that.
Okay, one other thing you didn't mention, your new acquisition,
Is skid steer?
skid steer showed up, what, a week or two ago?
Yeah, last week, yeah.
The planers here, the buckets,
Brandon, pick up room.
and, I don't know, what do you think, are we gonna need to, we still need to get this hot box thing
From Newberry.
from Newberry.
Yeah.
And they have one that is in pretty good shape.
And they said it, and the guys went down there and checked it out. I didn't go down there personally, but we're supposed to go there this week and look at that. And,
So we'll look at that, and what it allows you to do is pick up a couple tons maybe of asphalt, keep them warm, because we're not gonna be dumping massive amounts of asphalt like we did in the past on repairs. We're gonna be doing more controlled dumps where we may be putting in 2 inches, 3 inches, not 10 inches. And so instead of having to scurry to use up a couple tons,
right, which in the truck, once it gets higher, you get more.
Sure.
yeah.
Well, everything's gonna be more precise than greater patches, so.
Right, which is what we were doing.
So yeah, that thing it's a real nice looking machine, very compact and pretty solid.
Mhm.
So, I guess the other thing that I noticed, I just happened to be here, but we've dug 2 or 3 graves now with the
With the mini
With the
excavator.
mini.
And then we prepared a site up at the park for the scout project as well. A wonderful piece. The one thing with the mini in the cemeteries for us with the mats that we put down on the ground, instead of having 2 sets of mats where you're pulling the dump back and rolling out several, stones, headstones out of the way, here we're just right behind it and you're swinging around and putting it in the truck and taking off. So we're limiting the amount of damage to the cemetery and the grounds. So it's really coming in handy for us.
Unfortunately, I did a bunch of funerals this winter, Manaway, Shaler'sville
Yeah.
area, and that's what they dig them with down
Right.
there. So I don't know if they bought the machines or they rent them, or,
Yeah,
but
man,
that's,
answer to.
that's what's sitting there as a little mini excavator, and, yeah, so. Probably the way to go.
Work it out well.
Okay, anything else, Em?
That's it, Jim.
Mr. Troy?
Okay, yeah, I wanna go over, we got these, checks in from the storm damage, and a couple of issues. We got the, Chief, you can correct me if I'm making any erroneous statements here. We got a check in for $23,682.37. And that's gonna be for the remainder of the repairs on the station. And we did get a quote from Orion Construction for $22,594.65.
It's actually an invoice.
Hmm?
It's actually an invoice.
Actual invoice on this. So we're actually clear about $1,100, which will cover our deductible on that particular portion of it. And you said these guys did the mitigation work, storm damage, before,
Right.
but they were paid directly, before that was paid directly by the insurance.
Yeah, the first part was the tower removal and the temporary repairs to the station, as well as the water extrication remediation. They paid the contractors direct on that, which was $15,911.41. This check for $22,594.65 for invoices for work completing the station. So they've done all the repair work, everything's completed, roof's done. Everything's up but the lightning rods, which he's got them, gonna put them up tomorrow. So that completes Orion's part of that. The only thing that's not in there is to rehab or to restore the tower site, which is, they clear that stuff off to part of fence down. We need to pull the piers, the concrete piers that are in the ground, and remove the fence and remove the gravel and seed the straw. I got a quote from Orion for $42.50 for that. You got that right, Mike?
Right, which brings us to the, it was roughly $86,000 was the pre-amortized, or depreciated cost of the tower. So, we received a check for $76,140. Now, the department is recommending that we do not replace the tower, but our Motorola radios are gonna be obsolete by 2020.
Right, well, years ago, it used to be our primary transmitting site. And then a few years back, the township, or the county agreed to let us co-locate on the tower on Rapids Road. So they have better access through the 800 system to dispatch. So we're currently being dispatched out of there. The system that we had down here was a backup system, which was not ever really being used because we have alpha paging for backup. So the thought was, why put all this money back into the tower for something that we're not really using? Why not put it towards something that we really need, and that's the radios. Not only that, but if we don't put the tower back up, it's gonna save on insurance premiums to the township, as well as maintenance costs for the tower. Our current 800 radio system that we have, the mobiles and portables, are between 15 and 10 years old, and no longer being serviced by Motorola. So in probably the next couple of years, we're gonna need to replace all those, which is roughly 15 mobiles and about 32 portables. Roughly $2,500 a piece, so you can add it up real quick, it's gonna be a pretty good hunk of money to replace it. So our thought was not to put the tower up, take this money and apply it towards the radios, which will be a better, more cost-effective deal.
Specifically put it in a line item for capital expenditures.
Okay, is the check written to us or to them?
It's written to us.
Okay, so it needs to be put into a,
It's got, Fred, you got that ready.
How you wanna handle
Goes
it?
through the general first.
Yeah, it's already received into the general fund, so we need a motion to move $99,822.37 to the fire levy fund for contracted services and capital improvements.
All right, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mike,
Yes.
PJ,
Yes.
John?
yes. You guys will probably put this into a special account, John? Or you
Well-
gonna just throw it into your budget?
We figured we'd discuss it when we got closer to the end of the year when we were doing budgeting. But it's either that or we earmark it underneath our capital purchase here. And when the time comes, then we use the money up for radios accordingly. However, I was gonna get with Fred and figure out the best way to deal with
I
that.
think it's a good idea though, because that's gonna come pretty quickly.
Yeah.
That you're gonna need some of that money, you're gonna need that.
We're figuring about
$100,000.
2020 is when we're gonna need to start replacing radios.
It's not very far away.
So as you get toward the end of the year, like I said, we'll have it in an account here, we can either transfer it into yours, or.
Yeah, I'd like to see it separated into some kind of equipment
Specific,
purchase.
yeah.
So that, I mean, it's not found money, but it is kind of,
Well, since you're not replacing the tower,
Right.
it is kind of fun.
yeah, it's a little bit like that. And I think you guys could put that into good use with radios.
Well, Fred, we can save money.
Absolutely, that's
We-
gonna help out our budgeting when it comes time to replace them.
We can save money within the fire levy fund in some account.
Yeah, we can either create a new line item, or put it into the capital acquisition line item and keep it that way.
Towards
And then,
purchase-
and then I
built
don't know
towards that
if,
purchase.
you know, if on Dan's side over there, if you guys have an account that you could put it in to hold on to it.
We have a
We
capital purchase account that
Yeah,
we're
it might,
using for equipment.
it might be better to put it into that account.
Well, we're not holding,
Separate it
sitting on
out.
money.
Right. Okay, well, I figured we could work that out.
But I just would like you guys to put it separate for radios.
Yeah.
So kind of in a nutshell, if I may reiterate, the total paid by the insurance company is $115,733.78. The actual cost that we put out to the contractors will be $42,756.06, which gives us roughly $72,977.72 to put towards the radios.
Yeah, you can build funds in these accounts, you know, towards a planned purchase down the road, that's not
I
a.
think the big issue is as long as they have it earmarked
Yeah,
where it's
Yeah.
going.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think the price of radios is, you would wish they would come down.
So, yeah. Well, actually, you know, we've always been, pretty much towards Motorola because they've always proven to be tough, last, and we've had very few repairs over the years, and I think Carl could attest to some of this too when he was on the department, but, we're rethinking that a little bit, there's been some good competitive coming out against Motorola, and we might be shopping that a little bit when it comes time to look for new radios. With a good vendor.
Okay. Anything else on that?
No, sir.
Okay.
That it?
That's it.
Can I
Yeah.
Is it okay to get the board's approval and move ahead with reclamating the site for the tower? I got another guy that's giving me a competitive quote, so it's gonna be $42.50 or less.
What do you think?
Yeah,
Good.
we can go ahead and designate $4,250
Yeah, we can't leave it like it is.
for reclamation, for
I don't think.
reclaiming that site.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, it's pretty fair because those concrete piers are like 2 foot by 12 foot or 14 foot. That's a lot of concrete, and they got the fence to take down, and they got to fill up the holes and take the gravel up and everything. So it's a little bit of work there.
We set aside $42.50 for
Okay.
reclamation of the site.
Second.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Mike,
Yes.
BJ,
Yes.
John.
Yes.
Okay, a couple things I have is you'll see some checks starting to be distributed, or we've got the bagpiper and various other things we do around for the musical and parts of the Memorial Day. Sheriff's been contacted, but we haven't given him any final plans yet because we're still kind of hashing out what, when, and where. So just, you know, things are starting to move that direction. There's a bunch of checks to sign tonight for that. Second of all, met with, I'm on that little water thing subcommittee through the planning commission, addressing the USGS program that's been pretty widely discussed for the last 3 years. Gonna be a recommendation coming from the group to continue with the program as is and maximize its use by a couple of different things. And one is more educational, you know, welcome wagon stuff to new homeowners, that you have a well that you have to maintain, you have a septic you have to maintain. And we kind of thought we could pull in, both you guys got experience when we were the short period we were in the NPDES phase 2. We did all that best practices. Of course, Bainbridge and Chester and everybody to the west of us had to continue on with those programs. A lot of those apply directly towards what we're trying to do, and you could use some of this USGS water information in with it. The other part, and this is, I think probably would be the most beneficial recommendation out of this, is, you know, there's been, some of this is how do township zoning, how do you use this information in your township zoning? Well, that led to one discussion to another, and we went back to, John, you'll remember this, and I vaguely do, I think we were doing it when I started on zoning back then. Prosecutor's office, engineer's office, planning would put together a seminar for new people, about every other year, give or take. And you'll have, you know, as we discussed today, you're gonna have 2-3 new people on your boards and your commissions, and even your board of trustees every 2 years. You know, we're gonna encourage, and of course there'd be a cost associated with this to get, you know, the people involved again, but bring that back.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. I've heard that elsewhere about different topics too, but that's part of the recommendation here. And we also discussed that, you know, there's alternate routes to go with this, should the commissioners, and they're ultimately gonna have to fund it, obviously, they're gonna make the final call. But, you know, this will kind of complete the first part of this, and if commissioners decide they don't wanna spend any of this money, or they wanna reduce the cost of that water study, then we'll probably reconvene and go another route. But,
Well, somehow these guys gotta understand the availability of water is not guaranteed every place in the county.
there are a couple places.
We're in pretty
where-
good shape in Auburn Township, but I think that you have to look at the county, not just Auburn Township.
Well, there are some situations out in the eastern part of the county where some water levels have dropped.
Well, those were Middlefield.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Which has no zoning.
Hard to imagine.
So,
It's just a coincidence.
you know, we're trying to get, the group's trying to get a recommendation together, and it's not in its final form yet, but probably will be shortly, and I'll certainly get that to the board here. You know, to maximize the use of this, should it continue. We're recommending it to continue, but there's gonna be additional cost to make use of it. Now, I don't know how that response will be back from the commissioners, but ultimately it's their call. You got 35 years of data, so I think that's the reason this was looked at from the start, is that there's a history here of not showing a whole lot of wide fluctuations. And so it's time to look at it, and we're looking at it. And, I guess the end date on the USGS contract is in August. I recall last year that they were actually going to start, or they were gonna start pulling equipment in the second week of September, before the county renewed them again. So we're trying to get a recommendation done and to them before a last minute crisis.
What, like we did last time?
Like they've done the last 2 years, yeah.
So wasn't one of the commissioners doing a study?
Yeah.
From what I've heard 2 years ago, there was
Spearhead.
there was a lot of groundwork.
Spearheading that.
Yeah, there was a kind of a de facto committee already 2 years ago that did some groundwork towards streamlining or changing the whole
They
program.
didn't make a lot of progress.
They didn't get very far, no.
That's surprising.
And we might have to get that back out. We might have to go see what happened there. Should the commissioners decide they want to fund this particular program, we'll see.
Anything else?
That's all I got.
I had went on Tuesday to the annual public health meeting. You know, let's just get right to the chase. There is no assessments. However, the levy was passed in 1999. And as we all know, levies don't increase in the amount of money that they bring in, they stay the same. So One thing I think was a smart thing they did is, the health department hired a financial analyst to go through all of these programs and everything and, put a pencil to all of them. Or, so to speak, put the dollar as to what's a life worth. And, so that is going on. That gentleman spoke, and he seemed rather competent and knowing what he was talking about. And, of course, we've all known this for many years, is that, 70% of the health things that are delivered are all used by 3 townships. Basically, anybody with an Amish population. And I will have to give credit to the gentleman from Parkman who said, did you ever think that maybe you need to go to the Amish and say, hey, you need to start kicking in for some of this? And that would be a big help to the health department. They do provide some phenomenal services. And, the one nurse, when you hear about a kid who they gave a sight test to and couldn't tell you if the E was pointing to the left or to the right, clearly the service is badly needed. And she had a couple stories like that, when you hear stuff like that, you're like, oh my gosh, the money's being well spent, but it's still an issue, is that they're struggling, and the state continues to take more and more, tells you to do this, and then takes the fee for it, and collects it. And in some instances, the one nurse went through 5 or 6 things, the state takes as much as 80% of the revenue, and they do the work. So, I think
Unfunded mandates.
that's what it is, unfunded mandates, or even funded things that are, they take the funds from them. And so, the chart is in here. You guys, you should have got some copies of some of this stuff, but if you didn't, go ahead. But, the thing about how efficient are the drip systems, very efficient. If they're any of the maintained septic systems are, they're very efficient, they're working, they're up in the 99% passing, and in a couple of systems, 100% passing. So that was all good. And of course, that all boils down to no assessments for 2019. And they're gonna put a levy on to replace, or they're not sure of what's the terminology is gonna be. Several of the trustees offered some advice, and so as a matter of fact, we may have another convening of the membership later on, to help, if there's a question of what kind of levy it needs to be put on, and a replacement or a new levy, or, there's always that thing about, do you lose the
You risk losing what you got.
original levy? That levy passed, I think he said 3-1. So people were pretty much, don't forget, that was 1999. It was highly supported by the townships, because remember back in the day,
Assessments.
PJ, the assessments.
20,000.
We were kicked, how much?
That was around 20 grand.
I was thinking 30. We started at a low number, and at the end, the potential, of course, I was like, how do you know this? But the potential assessments are in there. And, here's Auburn, you're paying for a bunch of kids in 3 other townships to get shots and stuff. So, I think, look, the best way is for the county to have a levy. I mean, it's the only fair way to do it. And, it's only a quarter of a mil, I think. It's a low number. I think Weisbeck said it was the lowest levy in the county.
Yeah, we were talking about that today after the thing this morning. We were thinking it was 2/10.
Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that, PJ. So anyway, I personally, I think we're on track. you know, they're doing a good job up there, and they're, you know, but they're gonna need some more funds, there's no question about it, and,
Those levies, if it passed in 99, it does gain, it does bring in more income due to new construction. But for what you had, yeah, new construction's added to it. But what, for somebody that was
Yeah, but-
in place in 99, that all gets
Doesn't pick up
rolled
the
back.
inflation
That
of
gets,
the
right, that
existing
gets rolled
properties.
back, but new construction does add.
so, that was after the one commissioner interrupted the one nurse 20 times while she was trying to give her speech, so. Went on till 10 o'clock at night, but.
Did it? Really?
Yeah, it was kind of embarrassing. Yeah. You'd have thought he would know who works for him and what they do, but apparently not. Okay, Fred,
Yes,
I picked Villanova, that's, you can't pick them.
okay,
Okay.
we'll keep that in mind. So I will, I'll get a hold of the prosecutor on the lead issue for the chief and find out what we can or can't do there. Along those same lines, I'd like to start going through our personnel manual, because some of these classes and conferences that I've gone to kind of raised some issues. Just want to make sure that we're in compliance with FLSA and all that other fun stuff. And just kind of take it one step at a time. Let's see. We received a premium refund of $918.56 from Bureau of Workers' Comp. And I need a motion to distribute that to the, proportionally to the separate funds. So based on whatever their contributions are to the premium, we'll distribute proportionally.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
Mike,
Yes.
EJ,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
we got a credit from a vendor, in the form of a check. It was, for, road and bridge contracted services. And I just need a motion to move that back into road and bridge.
So moved.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Mike,
Yes.
EJ,
Yes.
John.
Yes.
We already did the motion to move the Perso money. We got, our new, life and AD&D insurance started up, and I didn't realize at the time, but that includes an employee advantage plan. So, so the employees can take advantage of like legal services, counseling, and some other limited services that go along with that. So I'll get some information together on that and distribute it.
It's not redundant with the health insurance, is it?
No, this is, there's separate ancillary services that go along, it's just a supplement to it. So we need I need supplemental appropriations for that Perso money. Well, I need appropriations so that we can pay the contractors that are making the repairs to the fire station.
That's resolution 2018-05?
Yeah, I gave you guys a copy of that.
I'll read it, Fred.
Go ahead.
Alright. Board of Trustees met in regular session 2nd of April. All present, be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Auburn Township that supplemental appropriations are necessary to pay for repairs for storm damage done to the fire department building. Therefore, a supplemental appropriation shall be made to the Fire Levy Fund 2191-120-323, repairs and maintenance, in the amount of $26,844.65. I'll make a motion to adopt that.
Second,
Mike,
yes.
BJ,
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And then I have your regular reports in front of you. Warrants 4407 through 4430 totaling $129,995.86. And your fund summary report, revenue status report, and appropriation summary report. That is all that I have.
Okay, on the Maple Shade Restoration Project, we have, they're still in the process of coming up with some numbers here. We're gonna be meeting this week with paving contractor, and I think once we get that handled, we'll start to be getting pretty close to where we are. Township welcome signs.
I know Nancy's been working with the one vendor that we initially started with, and she's getting some quotes and proposals from 2 other vendors so that we can compare. And I know one of them was actually going to put together a mock-up sign for us, so we could see something in real size.
Oh, really? Like a full size
Help us
one?
make
A
it
full
this
size
way.
one?
Pardon me?
A full size one, like a real sign they're gonna make?
For the welcome signs, yeah.
Gentlemen, we signed that, we got that NOPEC grant, and we made a contribution, no, we made a decision that we were gonna spread that around our scout volunteers, and I guess the question came up, we didn't specifically mention, the giggles and stitches, which are
4-H.
they have 4-H,
Yeah.
and in my mind, that's always, but I think at this time, we wanna specifically include them. They've been a big participant in the township as the Boy Scouts and the Cub Scouts and the Girl Scouts and whatnot.
They've been meeting over here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, but they didn't, I guess the wording of our motion was scouts, and they're not technically scouts, so we'll just, if we wanna make a motion to include them in that grant, that would be.
So moved, yeah.
Do you wanna do that specifically Giggles and Stitches or Auburn-based 4-H clubs? Is there another one? There used to be, I don't think there,
There is.
well, there's Auburn
We
Swine,
were-
but they don't, are really Auburn-centric.
I think the thought process was, we were looking at who had helped out the township
If the
the
picnic,
most so
okay.
far.
Yeah.
All right.
So we can specify the 4-H giggles and stitches to be added to the Boy Scouts. What else do we have in there? Cub Scouts, and did we reference the Girl Scouts?
There was an issue with the Girl Scouts because it's a Kenston-based unit, so they don't have an Auburn unit.
Okay,
And I guess what the thought was this Giggles and Stitches, they contributed so much to our bicentennial last year.
Okay, all right then. That's a motion?
yes.
Second.
Mike,
Yes.
PJ,
Yes.
John?
Yes. One last thing, I met with our risk manager from Tarma and reviewed a lot of our facilities and policies and asked two potential risks, and had a nice meeting, and so she'll issue us a report as she does in the past. Nothing that was alarming. They were very pleased at a lot of the actions that we automatically have taken. So continue those. So I think Tarma continues to be a very good partner, insurance partner for us. And that's the purpose of their visit, is to help us maybe see something that we haven't noticed, minimize risks. So that was done. Okay. Public comment. Yeah.
Yeah, just a question, it's been a while, since I've seen a check, it may have been there, but the Dave News payment for $798, is that for UN?
UAN.
Okay.
All done?
As far as I'm concerned, so I will make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Mike,
Yes.
BJ,
Yes.
John.
Yes. We're done.
8:20.